Yep, still 0-0, lads. Don't worry about... Yo guys, it is your boy Niren here, and welcome to FTW. This of course is the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. Now what's been kicking off this week? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Love Island is going to be back on your screens. Yep, it's been a quiet week, I can't lie to you. We're all, I'm sure, ready for some more scintillating conversations.
Essex is a continent. No.
There's even a Don on it this year, X of #United, which I can't lie is not ideal pre-season preparation. It does make me think though, there should definitely be a football version. Phil Foden pulling a Scandinavian supermodel whilst his child's hidden in his suitcase. Marcus Rashford taking someone to the fire pit. Listen babe, if you're hungry then I know something that can fill. Jack Grealish involved in a road traffic accident on the way in. You're not even driving, Jack. And Jadon Sancho, well, he's just there to get some actual airtime this summer. Speaking of which, his exclusion from Gareth Southgate's starting 11 again caused issues with 3 Lions fans, but it didn't stop England edging a 1-0 victory over the Czech Republic in our final group stage match. We have won the Euros again, and we won without Ben Chilwell and Mason Mount, who were forced to self-isolate after coming into close contact with Billy Gilmour, who previously tested positive. But the Scottish national team don't. I must have missed the part where sharing showers doesn't count as close contact. Wait, not everybody shares showers in the football chair. Well, so why did I have to do? To be honest, I'm surprised Gareth Southgate didn't just put Mason Mount in a gas mask and send him out anyway. In fairness to Scotland, they've just simply not got enough players to be doing that. One more positive test and they're looking for new players on Gumtree. I do find it mad that Ben and Mason had to self-isolate though. We didn't even have a single positive COVID result. Even Gareth Southgate's tactics came back negative. And as I mentioned, they're now self-isolating. Harry Kane's been doing that this entire tournament. I got PTSD level flashbacks from him not squaring it to Raheem Sterling in the first half. And it was a dead game again, I can't even lie. The highlight was one England fan sticking 3 lion bars on himself as the badge. Yep, definitely shagged her. How is Jadon Sancho not even getting a look into this side? I do not understand. Gareth Southgate purely just doesn't watch the Bundesliga. He doesn't even have a BT Sport subscription. In fairness, the man who stepped in, Bukayo Saka, was brilliant and obviously got man of the match. But at this point, Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Joe Cole, and Chris MD all get in ahead of him now. Hey, yo, Gareth, just quick one. Yeah, I can't actually find my passport right now. I don't know where it's gone. Oh man, that's such a shame. Oh. At least he came on as a substitute in this one, even if it was right at the end. Me realizing he's coming on versus me seeing he's on for the final 26 seconds of the football match. Gareth Southgate's gonna have a serious headache when he's at home reading a headline: Jadon Sancho scores 43rd goal of Bundesliga season. Elsewhere in troops, X of AFTV was kicked out of Wembley Stadium for vlogging. Thogden in the mud. Dog Dad needs a new source of income. I mean, what's the suggestion here? He's filming the game too much. Copyright infringement. Nobody wants to see a second angle of that game. It was horrendous from the first angle. Anyway, we're through. Uninspiring, but we're through. Already out of the tournament though are Scotland. And they are out of the group stages after a 3-1 defeat to Croatia. And I still expect to hear about that 0-0 victory over us until our next meeting in an international competition. So, quite a while from now.
That is what it is, isn't it? We've seen him in 23 years.
Fans are so gutted they can't even be gutted properly. Mate, that's his ACL gone. Call an ambulance. Meanwhile, this video I think really just sums it all up. It's no surprise they struggled against Croatia when John McGinn looks like he's woken up off the back of 14 pints and a doner kebab. You can't be at Pop World the night before this, lad. To be fair, I'd be tired too if I played for Aston Villa and managed West Ham United at the same time. At least Lewis Capaldi's having fun. All jokes aside though, Scotland being in this tournament has been class. Qualify more regularly, please. Spun off Lyndon Dykes though. The fans are jokes, and they genuinely played alright. They were unlucky not to win a game. Now, the group of death was absolutely ridiculous. France and Portugal played out a 2-2 draw with more penalties than a drink drive awareness course, and with results elsewhere between Hungary and Germany eventually ending up in a 2-2 draw as well, every team was at one stage out of the tournament. None of them wanted to play England, I'm telling you now. Punditry though, Cristiano Ronaldo was too busy for that. For Germany, and they had some slightly different preparation. What's going on? That didn't seem to work because they were behind twice against the Hungary side that everybody wrote off before the tournament. They gave a ridiculously good account of themselves. They should be very proud even though they've not gone through. Leon Goretzka scored the goal in the end that sealed Hungary's fate. Germany's admin was absolutely loving it, though Leon himself probably doesn't remember it after his teammate slammed him to the floor during the celebration, of which he used his hands to make a heart signal, probably in response to UEFA preventing Germany from lighting up the Allianz Arena in a rainbow effect. That in response to Hungary banning the teaching of LGBT rights in schools. UEFA gave their excuse as to why they didn't allow it to happen. I've got a shortened down version here for you, and that sets up England versus Germany in the round of 16 at Wembley. What could possibly go wrong?
She's got all the hallmarks of an absolute classic underneath the floodlights.
Elsewhere in the Netherlands are through after a comfortable win over North Macedonia. Their fans are certainly enjoying themselves.
Heel veel drinken, echt heel veel drinken en geen ranja.
And fellow fans in the stands with some interesting shirt names. It's Pfizer into AstraZeneca! Fuck's sake. Look, how can you expect to win the game when you only have one shot and they have two shots? Ah, you see, you're not wrong, actually, to be fair. Gini Wijnaldum done a madness for the Netherlands again. It's crazy what he can do when he's not playing hit rotation-reliant football. Goran Pandev, meanwhile, for North Macedonia, played his final ever international game, and he got a guard of honour from his teammates, as well as a shirt from the Netherlands. Bit rude to put his age on it. Belgium are also through from Group B, emphatically with a win over Finland. They could have genuinely played with their coaching staff and gone through in this one. Iñaki Bergara is a 59-year-old goalkeeping coach, and he would have at least 3 goals by now. And beautifully, Denmark will join them after progressing in second place from Group B. Andreas Christensen scored an absolute screamer.
That one's in! That one's a rocket!
And they dedicated the goals as well as the win to Christian Eriksen, who was recently discharged from hospital, but had to huddle round together at the end of the game to check for the Belgium versus Finland score. Oh shit, is that a goal for Finland? I'm leaving you and taking the kid. Oh man, no, sorry, that must be the wrong number. That's crazy. In Group E and Spain, you know, fucking hell. In Group E and Spain are through after a 5-0 spanking of Slovakia.
Potential at Chelsea.
Wow! But you don't need to know about anything else other than this Martin Dubravka own goal. This has to be match fixing. I'm sorry, there's no other explanation. Fucking hell, it was only Morata as well. And even despite having a good game, Alvaro Morata was substituted for Ferran Torres, and he hadn't even got down the tunnel before his replacement had scored instead of him. And last but not least, in Group A, Wales are through to the round of 16 in second place, despite a 1-0 defeat to Italy. Ethan Ampadu was red-carded for this foul. If this was a red card, Roy Keane would have been sent off 474 times, and he only ever played 473 times. Speaking of Roy, he's on form as a pundit.
I very rarely speak to anybody for over 5 minutes. I
hope your wife gets more than 5 minutes chat with you.
Never.
And he's not the only comedian around right now, because when asked where Sergio Ramos will be playing next season, Gareth Bale replied, at centre-back. But their team picks are just getting out of hand. How can you come to the game as a top-heavy fraction? Outside of Euro 2020 though, and Harry Kane, who hasn't been involved in it anyway, is officially underbid from Premier League champions Manchester City. They've offered £100 million and Gabriel Jesus in the deal. So £100 million. All of this money for a man who's an ambassador for Bottle United. Nah, but slander aside, City plus Kane is a scary prospect. We need Daniel Levy to put in some mad demands, but we know he's gonna seed a bank transfer and start sweating profusely. It's gonna be a disaster when he spends the money on Lucas Vazquez and Alvaro Negredo.
Should we have spent so heavily in the past? Probably not. But we lived the dream.
Pep really broke down in tears after winning the league for Sergio Aguero, only to league unify the whole Premier Division a month later.
You're quite emotional about that.
Over at the Copa America, and that competition is in full swing as well, Messi's taken to slapping up Paraguayan farmers. The man's barely even contracted to Barcelona anymore. He's probably loving life. There's no stress anymore. Doesn't need to worry about Ronald Koeman asking him to start playing as a target man. Now, Leo, hear me out on this one. Ron, I needed growth hormones to get to this height. He's got, what, 4 days left on his contract? He's basically an Amazon Prime free trial at this stage. Russian side Spartak Moscow are putting in the enquiries. I can see it personally. Meanwhile, for Uruguayan, Luis Suarez is up to his usual tricks, using the excuse of having to take off his boot for time-wasting purposes. I've not seen this man as slow to react since Patrice ever celebrated in front of him. But regardless, it's a shithousery award for the Atleti man. Meanwhile, Blackburn Rovers' Ben Brereton, newly of Chile, is actually doing bits. The guy's now the most exotic thing to come out of Stoke-on-Trent, since a pub regular accidentally dropped a Barocca in his carling. In Japan, and youngster Takefusa Kubo just scored a goal for the national team by nutmegging 4 players at the same time. Elsewhere in this video of Pepe's doing the rounds online. Yeah, look, just eliminate Portugal from the Euros. And Ivorian legend Yaya Toure has written an entire article on how having a big bunda is important to being a footballer. A little bit suspicious as to who the editor could be here. How is this man going to explain why we need this article?
If you will be with this, no big head, but we did have.
Closer to home, and Tottenham Hotspur still don't have a new manager. They're the ones sending out their CV at this point. They're even going after Calvin Phillips. I think you might struggle with his coaching badges on that one. On Twitter, an ex-Arsenal and Chelsea midfielder Cesc Fabregas was asked whether he'd rather retire or play for Spurs. I think his answer was pretty obvious. And in Scotland, Motherwell have made a new signing by the name of Justin Amaluza. Not really setting himself up for a winning start with that surname, but we move.
No,
There's also the news that Michael Owen has been outed for asking for XXX content from a reality TV star whilst married. How's he gonna get out of this one then? Now, you said here, Mr. Owen, that you enjoyed her being exposed. Can you make any comment on this? My client simply meant being exposed tactically, as in, like, getting around the back line. Yeah, you bet I did, fam. Michael, I'm trying to help you here. A man said he's a little forward, in more ways than one. I hope he didn't send anything back, because knowing his track record, he probably injured himself just whipping it out. Let's be real, it probably took him a maximum of 25 minutes before he started talking about helicopters anyway.
And this is no ordinary chopper. It's got special powers, and once we're airborne...
Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back, by popular demand, for yet more glorious beauty.
Aberto pela direita, ele tem o Diego, recebeu a bola, fez o cruzamento lá do outro lado, escorou com o peito!
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, getting spun like a Beyblade is never a great thing in football, but imagine having your ankles broken 3 times by the same player.
Lily.
Elsewhere, and this defender's really putting his body on the line. In the MLS, and Jakob Glesnes for Philadelphia Union scored this absolute thunderbolt. So good it hit the crossbar 3 times. But now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, first of all, and this isn't really a news story, but it's a piece of information I found out this week, so it now counts. Newly promoted Dinamo Bucharest are owned by the club's ultras, because the previous takeover was a hoax by Spanish businessmen that didn't even exist. How do you get that far into the negotiations and realize you're not even negotiating with anybody? And the second story comes from Universitatea Craiova, who have signed Antoine Conte. Looks a little bit different from his speller Inter, I can't lie. Daniel Levy currently punching the air. Elsewhere, and in Japan, women's international forward Kumi Yokoyama has come out as a transgender man this week. I think it's class. They were very emotional talking about it at the time on the weekend when it was announced, and I hope it raises awareness for others in the sport, even fans of the Japanese national team or football generally speaking. Over in what I think is Mexico.
Bien expulsado. Para mí está bien la roja. Mira cómo viene, cómo saltó antes.
I mean, he's got the ball. The game's gone soft, in my opinion. Now, I don't know where this clip is from, but our goalkeeper here is about to have his penalty saved by the opposition number one. But if you watch the ball closely, it drifts into the back of the net after being saved. One of the opposition defenders then runs in to kick it out before the referee can see it, which means that the opposition have to run over to the guy holding this camera, who basically becomes VAR for the whole game. And over in South America, this goalkeeper perhaps got a little bit too excited after victory in their game. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now, this of course is the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And recently we've seen some out there clips, you know, couple of very skillful moments, a Hungarian team getting blasted by firemen, that sounds crazy, I didn't. But this week we're going back to basics, with a good old-fashioned fracas between two sets of fans. There's so many people involved you could probably label it as a civil war. On to the weird stuff though now. Over in Brazil, and former Manchester City striker Joe has been fined by his club Corinthians for wearing green boots because that's the colour of their arch rivals Palmeiras. I mean, the grass is green on the pitch, so I think they staying on the Brazilian theme but dropping a few divisions into Serie D, and a goalkeeper punched a referee after he was sent off for giving away a penalty, but you can see the footage in the background, he's just fully lost his head. Once again, another reminder, I don't know why I even need to. Don't assault referees, for crying out loud. And the final story, not a weird one, but very much a wholesome one. Liverpool forward Sadio Mane is obviously Senegalese, and he was born and raised in a small village called Bambali. In 2019, he donated almost $350,000 to build a school there, and this summer he has donated again, almost $700,000 to fund the building of the first ever hospital in the village. We love to see that, making a difference to where he grew up and spending the money that he earns wisely on the people that care about him. But that is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.